there's another definition of Pratyahara, which is that you actually allow your awareness to include everything within the field of experience. And that also takes you inward, because you're not making that distinction between inside me, and me as a separate being and the rest of the world as outside me. That Pratyahara is to actually include the whole field of experience.
In that realm, there's no judgment.
There's no judgment.
There's no person that's saying, oh, this is good for me, this is bad for me, I'm trying to avoid that, I'm trying to collect that. So there's no sort of world in which things are being categorized.
Yeah.
They're being witnessed without necessarily having an aversion or an attraction.
Right, exactly. And we're also not saying, okay, I have my eyes closed, I'm meditating, and therefore I need to be quiet, my thoughts need to be quiet, I need to be undisturbed by anything outside. You can start to realize that meditation can be going on, even though they're thoughts, if the thoughts are not grabbing you, if you're allowing the thoughts to be there without following them.
And that takes practice.
And that takes practice, and that's, of course, what we're describing takes practice. And I think that's why we practice.
I want to tell the young people who are starting these practices that there's no, in some ways, magic pill or sort of this leapfrogging of like, I want to go into that dimension without doing the work in this dimension.
Yeah, you can't skip the basics. And you need to cultivate the basics, and you need to, I call it creating the container. You need to create the container in the body, the container of the capacity to focus and be rigorous and return to the same thing day after day. Even on the days when you're bored, to keep coming back to it and finding ways to go deeper into it. And then there is a point where it becomes very natural to relax, to release. And I would say, I'm sure this is true in serious asana practice. I'm not a serious asana practitioner, but where I am serious is in meditational practice. And when you sit for a long time, and you do the breath practice, you let the thoughts go, you stay in your posture, you do all the doing stuff. There just comes this moment when the concentrative practice dissolves. Your mantra dissolves, your breath stops. Technically speaking, the mind goes into the
That can be a scary moment.
It can be terrifying for people.
I feel like a lot of people get stuck at that juncture.
And they won't go deeper.
Because it's actually the letting go of the form that they've spent so many years cultivating.
Yeah.
Is actually the leap that in fact they have found refuge in the form.
Yeah, true, true, and that's fine,
Right, that is fine.
It's fine, and a lot of people go into practice because they're suffering in some way, and I think that's actually really good motivation for starting practice. So at a certain point, you discover the practice puts you in a state where you're not suffering. You feel good when you meditate. So then there's a great temptation to keep it there at that level, rather than doing the exploration that is going to allow the form to dissolve and which often asks you to face, let's call it the demons that are lurking in your subconscious. The fact that purification of the unconscious continues to go on sometimes for years. So when you go very deep, you'll often come out feeling irritable, or...
Now I have an excuse for what
exactly,
I'm feeling.
exactly. So that's part of, you have to learn that, okay, this is the purification that practice offers, and that as these, this stuff, this schmutz, these tasty morsels in the soup, just show up, you see them, you recognize them, you go, okay, there's anger, it's in my field. And that allows it to dissolve, and so more and more, you get to that place you were talking about in the beginning where there is this very wide feeling of an expansive consciousness that can hold whatever is coming up. And that, I feel, is really the door to enlightenment.